Well, welcome everyone to the Interwoven Worlds 2025 Virtual Awards Ceremony. I'm your host today. I'm Emil Petroncio. I am serving on the board of directors for MFA as the vice president for programming and public relations. MFA is a visual nonprofit organization that hosts more than 40 exhibitions every year. Our mission is to make connections in the local and online communities through art, with exhibits and events in the Circle Gallery in Annapolis, Maryland, online and in numerous alternative venues around Maryland. We provide artists of all genres, media, and backgrounds with the opportunity to exhibit work selected by professionally credentialed jurors and to be recognized with monetary awards. Artists do not have to be members to enter our exhibitions, but membership has several advantages. There are lower entry fees, access to networking, and additional exhibition opportunities. If you're interested in learning more about becoming a member, please visit our membership page on our website listed there, marylandfedart.com/membership. So the Maryland Federation of Art, we partnered with the Asian Arts and Culture Center at Towson University and invited Apamida artists, those of Asian, Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern, and Desi American backgrounds, to share works that express their cultural heritage, reflect cross-cultural influences, and convey or incorporate their unique American experiences. Any original 2D and 3D artwork in any media was considered. Works selected by the juror are on exhibit now in MFA's Circle Gallery in Annapolis until July 26th. And our juror is Nerissa Paglinauan, the program manager for Asian Arts and Culture Center at Towson University. Born in Baltimore to Filipino immigrants, Nerissa is in her 13th year as program manager of the AA&CC at Towson, where she engages audiences through diverse exhibitions and programs. During that time, she has curated or co-curated 12 group exhibitions, including the annual Asia North exhibition held in Baltimore's Station North Arts District, all with the focus of centering underrepresented Apamida cultures, stories, and experiences. Through these group shows, the AA&CC has developed a deep and a diverse network. So through these group shows, the AA&CC has developed a deep and diverse network of Apamida artists based in the greater Baltimore and DMV region. In 2013, she helped organize Art Filipino, Works by Master Artists, AA&CC's first exhibition featuring all Filipino artists, with works on loan from the collection of the Philippine Center, New York, and from local collectors in the DMV. Nerissa holds Bachelor of Arts degrees in Music and Child Development from Tufts University. Now I'll turn it over to Nerissa to mention our award winners here, starting with the Honorable Mention Awards.
Okay, thank you so much, Emil, and thank you to Maryland Federation of Art. And I also just wanted to acknowledge ANC Director Joanna Picori, who's on this Zoom. And it was, we were so honored to be invited by MFA to co-present this exhibit. And before I get into the awards, I just wanted to give a little more context and background to, my relation to art, because you saw in my bio, like I'm a music major, child development, and like where does the visual art come from, even though I have been at the Asian Arts and Culture Center for 13 years. So as a daughter of Filipino immigrants, my parents gave me a lot of, provided a lot of experiences for me, and I was drawn to the arts and music. And so I grew up, studying piano, singing, and also taking studio art, which I did for many, many years. By the time I got to college, there's the, I said I wanted to, that my parents weren't gonna, let me major in both music and art. So I did have to choose one. But whenever I had the opportunity to do like hands-on art, visual art, I just kind of, glommed onto that. And when this opportunity at the program manager at the Asian Arts and Culture Center position came up, it was just kind of a perfect fit for me, being able to help promote both music and visual art and all, even like Filipino cultural that I grew up. It was just kind of the perfect match for me. And it's been such an honor to also help create this network of artists, Apamida artists in Maryland, and also through this exhibit, reaching out to the greater Apamida diaspora in the US and maybe, you know, beyond. And so it's just an honor to promote the work of other artists who, you know, while I maybe did not have the opportunity to fully pursue any, you know, visual art aspirations I might have had, I still do practice music. I'm an active musician, but it's been such a great honor to work with all of our artists. And so from there, I will go into the awards, and I had such a hard time. I did have the opportunity to go and see the installation in person. The MFA team did a beautiful job in, you know, kind of putting the puzzle together of, you know, all the different artworks. And it's, you know, it's difficult with all the different media, all the different styles, and it really came together beautifully. So I'm grateful for all the work that was put into that. And you know, I don't like choosing favorites, but I know in my role as juror, I had to do that. So, and I just want to congratulate all the artists whose work are in this show, and for all the work you do to make connections, tell your stories, and just it really art helps make this world a better place. So, okay, I will start with honorable mention. The first, Facial Identity by Esperanza Alzona. And this is in no particular order. So Facial Identity, I was just struck by just this beautiful, like, stoic face, the details of the features and just how the hands cradle the face, and like the details in the fingers. You know, I'm glad I got to see the work in person. Reading through the artist statement, how the artist you know, struggled with being called names, you know, from as a Filipino American immigrant, and just how how precious your identity is. I loved how, you know, it was a glowing, the sculpture just glowed. I mean, it's, you know, it's an aluminum sculpture, and just how the light hits off of it, and it was just beautifully executed. I did have a question about, there's a little detail on the cheek below the eye, if that was a tear or a scar. I don't know if the artist is on the call to maybe say a few words about that, but it was this beautiful, serene, stoic face, and it was just very strong. So I happened to choose another work by the same artist. This one really resonated with me it's called Solitude, and it's just, it moved me a lot. It's just this beautiful and simple sculpture. It just, to me, depicted this feeling of, you know, smallness and feeling alone, the seated figure wanting to like protect herself, kind of hugging herself in and creating this shell of protection from like a cruel world. And just the smoothness of the sculpture, the long hair is almost like a helmet, like a turtle shell. I could see this, it's kind of almost like a turtle kind of crawling back into its shell for protection. And I can just remember that feeling of, you know, being a little girl, feeling alone, feeling different, and just wanting to hide. And so that really captured, the sculpture really captured that beautifully. And so it's such a simple form, but bold, and just, it moved me a lot. So, so thank you for your beautiful sculptures, Esperanza. I was very moved by both works. So Lane by Gloria Tseng Fischer. So I've had the honor to actually present some of her works in the past and previous group shows I've curated. I love just the balance of this work, and it's not overpainted, it's not overdone, and she's very intentional about leaving this negative, this white space, which is like really part of the work. She talks about how I love the loose and sketch-like quality of this watercolor. And I love, the simple dark splotches in the middle, kind of depicting, a couple walking down an alleyway. Just the choices she made of like where to paint more detail and where to have it more loose and more like color washes. And it's just this like great balance. I know that she normally doesn't use any, like, she doesn't sketch her compositions usually prior to putting like brush to paper. And I love just the balance and the freeness of it. And it's just beautifully executed. And just, I love how the artist captures the brightness of the sun trying to like penetrate the alleyway just through the whiteness of the paper. And it's beautiful. So thank you, Gloria.
I think Gloria is with us this afternoon. If you want to comment on your work, Gloria.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, I mean, I went to Taiwan, and then I just fascinated by these alleys and the way at the end of the alley you always see the light and just draws you in. It has a dreamy quality when you walk through these alley because there's something beyond, and which is what I was trying to do, just capture a dreamlike quality of walking through the alley.
Yeah, you really get a feeling for, just being there, and just, I love I also just like love the different just splotches of paint kind of giving this the essence of, whatever's going on in the alley. It's just, I love how, I love your style. So
Thank you.
Simply put.
Thank you.
So Celeste Wong, my American mixed experience. I thought this was a very, creative depiction of presenting a multiracial Asian American identity. The copper wires like intricately woven to hold all these like seemingly disparate shards of porcelain together. And, each is, different, but very integral to the whole. And each shard is unique. Each has its own, cultural background, you could say, represented by the different designs. And it's just, everything is held together so, strongly. And I'm wondering, I was hoping that the artist would be on the call to maybe speak to like what each shard represents in, their cultural background. I know she mentioned the Tagalog, Cebuano, and Chinese. So it was just a very interesting, like I wanted to learn what inspired the artist to use these different mediums to express this multiracial work. So I don't know, is Celeste here? I think she is.
Hi,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi, yeah. So I'm half Filipino, quarter Chinese, partially German, Swiss, and my one grandma, she has deep roots here in America, all the way back to colonial times. So at heart, I feel like a true American, and my parents were also born here. So you could say I'm like very Americanized, but I've always kind of struggled growing up, like, where do I belong in this world? Being so Americanized, I don't really relate to my Filipino side nor my Chinese side, but kind of in a culmination of all of those together. And so now in my late 20s, I feel that I can finally um, reclaim myself and push all of my sides forward. And because as a kid, it was just easier to say, oh, I'm Chinese just because my last name says so. And it was just always a tough topic when people would ask, "Well, where are you from?" Um, so yeah, and I chose to crochet the pieces together because crochet was the one thing that was passed down to me from my Lola to my mom and then to me. I didn't learn any of the languages. I didn't really learn any, we don't hold any traditions of, you know, Filipino or Chinese culture. So crochet was like the one thing that I could pull all these together. And so it may not be the cleanest or it's, you know, kind of messy on purpose because the journey is messy. So, um, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. That just, brings out so much more meaning in your work. So thank you for your creativity and just for pursuing your art. So Manal, Deeb, Dieb, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name.
Manal Deeb, you said it right.
Manal Deeb. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
Beautiful, beautiful work. The
Thank
Bride.
you.
To me, it's like just a visual poem. Seeing the Arabic calligraphy kind of forming the veil, and just the different designs and patterns shielding the bride's face. And I just wanted to me, it's both like a bold and a delicate painting at the same time. And I just wanted to ask you also just about how the paint kind of melts down into, it seems a little more chaotic at the bottom end of the work. And I just wanted to hear more about what you've depicted here.
Absolutely. I mean, gosh, this is like a one of the first pieces I made. It's like it's been years since I did this artwork. It's been into so many exhibitions, and honestly, it's more of showing identity where I'm so in tune with my language, even though I lived far from my hometown, Jerusalem. I still, read in Arabic, and I love the poetry in specific. I love how you said it's poetry. The fact that I do read in Arabic and enjoy the Arabic language, specifically in calligraphy, in poetry. Uh, Also, it the dress is. I wanted to do this pattern just to show the fragmented identity of leaving home, and but still, attached to my origin and my language. The use of white to let the dark, letters pop out, and I'll be bold that way. So it's basically more of a self-portrait that I kept put it, in most of my artwork series in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I hope I answered your
Yes,
question.
that's beautiful. What do the characters say? The script.
Yes, I mean, viewers usually ask me what does it say. I honestly use the letters as parts, and so you can read it if you know Arabic.
Mhm.
You can read it the way you want, or maybe guess what it is, but it's not readable. I meant more of the beauty and the flow of the letters as a veil, rather than giving a direct message of what it says.
Okay.
But people tend to try to read it because that's how we are wired. The brain is wired to read letters, especially if you know the language. And it's interesting that when people used to come to my studio, they start what they know Arabic, they start reading it the way they want. Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
absolutely.
Beautiful work. Susanna Eisenman's Remembering Vincent. So this collage, it's one of the works, and going through all the works, I kept coming back to this one. And even before I read the artist statement, it kind of haunted me. Just the image seemed haunted, and it seemed like this dark, ghostly figure. So I was quite moved when I learned in reading the artist statement that it was in remembrance of Vincent Chin. And as Susanna mentions in her statement, Vincent Chin's murder in the 1980s has been acknowledged as the start of the modern Asian American civil rights movement. So I thought this was just a very, powerful example of how art can be used to, you know, so to make sure that, history is not erased or forgotten. And I just, there seem to be so many details in this work. So the different pattern textiles Susanna used to create the wedding suit that Vincent was buried in, even to the detail of, the boutonniere he might have worn, and just the different, if Susanna's on the call, I would like to hear, what are those, is that a Ouija board pattern in the background? What are is there significance to the different patterns you chose? And just, thank you for such a, again, calling to light the history of Vincent Chin, and just this very haunting work. Yeah, it was just very striking, and I just kept coming back to this work. There's even, I don't know if you can see it at the top of the face, it almost, there's this sinister like image that I see that almost looks like I don't know if it's just the nature of the pattern, but it almost looks like the skeleton coming through. It's just very, it was very haunting to me, this whole work. So just the contrast of the bright, flowers and the colors and the patterns to just the story of, what happened to Vincent. And yeah, I was hoping Susanna could speak more about this work, and maybe in another, I'll have to catch up with her to get more information. So thank you, Susanna. So Rowena Finn, Quod Nutrit Destruit. This one really did hit home for me. It's a very interesting, bold sculpture. The as she mentions, the ubiquitous wooden spoon and fork. I am a Filipino American. I did not grow up with the wooden spoon and fork on my wall, but I did attend many Filipino gatherings where this was prominently displayed. Not quite sure the origin of that, but there's this tradition of, in any, at least in my Filipino household and other Filipino households, where, you show love through offering food. I would come home to my parents at like 10 o'clock at night, and they'll be like, oh, have you had dinner? Eat something. And so it's this very like nurturing kind of idea of, nurturing and loving through food. And, Rowena mentions how, so the sculpture depicts kind of this contrast of how that as the title says, that which nourishes me also destroys me. And her greatest sin was wanting to be an artist. So you have this, beautiful capiche shell heart shape that's being impaled by the fork and the spoon and these tools that are supposed to be nurturing. And so it that one hit home for me. It's not that I'm not going to say that my parents like really stopped me from pursuing art, but there's the idea of, the expectations of immigrant parents wanting their children to succeed, and that pursuing the arts is not always or rarely the goal. But in the same way, so kind of a side note, anyone who is pursuing art is actually still honoring the sacrifices of their immigrant parents, because that just means that they've been given the opportunity. They've been given the opportunity to like pursue their passion. So there's a balance in that as well, that I've just thought about more in recent years. This was just a very, very bold work, and it really made me think about, what our elders and what people do to think they're like, helping you and nurturing you. And it was just really boldly and beautifully depicted, something that I wasn't expecting in the show. And so is Rowena on the call?
She is.
Hi, yeah, I'm here.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
What inspired you to impale a heart with the fork?
I did grow up with the spoon and fork
Okay.
in my house, and like you said, I know a lot of people who did, and it's not strictly a Filipino thing. I know a lot of other cultures have it too. But yeah, I wasn't encouraged to take art seriously. Like through high school, it was fine, but then when I said I wanted to major in it, my parents flat out were like, no. So, for many, many years, I struggled trying to do the right thing and get a regular job, and hated it. It was miserable. It didn't matter if I was good at it. Art's such an important thing to me. And so, I have 3 kids now, and I started to feel this gap because like I had really just turned away from the Filipino upbringing. I was born and raised here in the Hampton Roads area, and just really turned away from my Filipino upbringing because it didn't really support who I was as an artist, which is a really big part of my identity. And now as a mother, I think a lot about like knowing who your children really are and letting them flourish. And I didn't like that I wasn't connected to my Filipino roots. So I started to think like, well, how can I forge a connection on my own terms instead of like relying on what everybody else has told me it should be. All the traditional things, like especially when you're a woman in the Filipino culture, a lot of times you're expected when you're younger to be like quiet and obedient, and all these other things that are just not really me. And so I decided as my jumping off point, because I had been doing watercolor and just drawing and painting up until a few years ago, that I would just get a hold of Filipino materials. So I ordered in a lot of capiche shells and a lot of piña fabric, and I just started to play with them. And I started to make things that actually mattered to me. And it was pretty cathartic. So this is full disclosure, this is a very cathartic piece of art. But I think it's fun, and I actually have plans to do more like it, because I feel like there's this delicate balance that my parents love me so much and they've given me so much support in so many ways, but they don't understand this part of me. And I realized that I can't really separate these things. All the good and the bad and the complicated and the wonderful, they all just kind of go together. And so I just had this idea that I was going to make this heart, and I was going to make it look exactly, like what you see. And I mean, it was really fun kind of building, because capiz has really become one of my favorite materials to work with. And part of it too was, when you think about anything made in the Philippines, it tends to be kind of kitschy tourism stuff. And I wanted to take something like capes, which you usually see in chandeliers or in
Like jewelry.
jewelry, or those wind chimes where they're dyed these really garish, bright colors. And I wanted to see if I could take it and elevate it into like a serious art medium.
Yes, this is the first time I've seen capiche shells used this way. So it's very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yoomee Ko, The Way Home. Thank you so much for this beautiful painting. I loved how it, I've been to the Southwest a couple of times, and just the blueness of the sky and the how it kind of gets washed out in the horizon, and just you kind of feel the heat of the sun, the detail of the cactus, and just the brightness. I love the the contrast of the like bright colors, and even though it's a desert, there is still color in the desert, and so I thought this painting really captured it so well in like the desert flora, and just the depth and yeah, it's just beautifully done, and how you're as an Apamita artist, AAPI artist, what you're not pigeonholed into doing like a landscape painting of like a a traditional Asian landscape painting. So this is part of what some of our group shows are, is to show artists who don't necessarily, even though you're an Asian artist, you don't have to do like traditional Asian art. And this is very much I depicting what you call home, what you see as home. And so this is a convergence of cultures, and this was a very beautiful painting, and even like more striking in person. So I'm glad I saw it in person. Is I think Yoomee is on the call.
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Yes.
Yeah, this was when I was in Arizona, and just seeing all the cacti. This one really felt like it was speaking to me, and having lived in 5 different countries when I was younger, it just identity and place has been a big theme, and it just I don't know, just seeing this person, sort of cactus person, kind of pointing out its arm. I felt that it was just more being in nature and being in this land that's been occupied by many different people, and just appreciating that. So just something that I wanted to capture in that sense. And thank you very much.
Did you feel like the cactus was like reaching out to you, just say like,
Yeah.
welcome you? Yeah.
Yep.
It's great. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. And then our last juror's choice. The next slide is YI Wang, Slide Down. And I wish we could zoom in a little more to this painting. And I do have a question about there seems to be this, at least in the image that the artist sent, there's this kind of a screen or another cloth kind of going over the front of the painting, and that wasn't included in the work in the installation. So I don't know if that was, but just going into more of like why I chose this. This was another work that I kept coming back to and trying to study, and it made me kind of feel uncomfortable. I loved all the very bold colors used, and the detail and like the pattern on the placemat, and I'm just trying to figure out what was going on. There seems to be this kind of sinister figure in the background hovering over the slouched figure, who's kind of melting away into this bowl of food, and as you said, it's that the figure survives by consuming itself, slow, visualizes a slow and internal collapse and distortion of the self. And so there's so much going on in here, and I just wanted, really wanted to hear from you about, what's you're presenting here.
Hello,
Hello,
nice to meet you guys.
nice to meet you.
Thank you for commenting my work. Yes, the transparent slide. I forgot
Oh,
about
okay.
that. Sorry about that. In person, yeah, and yes, the title "Sliding Down" is like I'm trying to explain how we like scribble the screen on the phone. So that was the movement. So I titled it that way. And I am talking about technologies and self-consciousness. I suppose that's right in English. Yes, and this is a work I believe from 2024. So that time I was researching about I would say consumerism, advertisement, and how it affects on people. And then I did also watched a documentary about, I think it's more about feminism, about the film is about Killing Us Softly. I'm not sure anybody watched it, but it's talking about how advertisements influence how they feel both subconsciously, indirectly, and then directly about their appearance, their identity, and how they think about themselves. Yes.
Right. This is very, very powerful work. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I think that's it. So congratulations to all the artists. Thank you so much for your work, and I hope everybody gets to see the installation in person. Yay. Congratulations. There is an in-person reception on July 8th for people who can make it. And I'm not quite sure about the time, but look for announcements for the July 8th reception, which both Joanna and I will be able to attend. We won't be at the closing reception at the end of July, but we will be there on July 8th, and I would love to meet you all in person and talk more about your work and your art practice.
Well, Nerissa, thank you for curating a wonderful show. It's a powerful one. And Joanna, thanks to you as well for your partnership. In our strategy here is to exhibit works by very diverse artists, diverse mediums, diverse backgrounds. And so in that sense, you've helped us succeed in that mission. It's a very powerful show, and I hope folks can stop by the Circle Gallery to see it. As you said, Nerissa, it is very different seeing some of these works in person. And yes, the reception on the July 8th is from 4 to 6 p.m. And so is the reception on July 26th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Circle Gallery. And I'll just mention also on July 8th is the beginning of 2 exhibitions, MFA exhibitions at Maryland Hall. If you like the 3D work in this exhibit, you might like the Off the Wall exhibit at Maryland Hall. And we also have Art in Abstraction. So both of those are opening at Maryland Hall on July 8th. And they'll run till mid-August, till August 14th. So thanks again. And thank you to Julia Berzon in the gallery for advancing the slides for us. And thanks again to all the artists. And congrats to all who entered the show and were selected. So it's a fine one.